the original Black Pearl was a Soto 40, which we had a great bunch of fun on. But Stefan was always into the adventure of things. So while he cut his teeth in the Soto and enjoyed it and made great leaps and bounds, he saw more value in offshore racing, because you go somewhere, you for 3 days off work, you're getting 3 days of sailing, not 3 hours times 3 days, Yeah. So we got the 47 with the view of doing offshore racing, but we wanted a boat quickly, and so we got that boat. There was a series build, so we could get it pretty quickly within 3 months. But it was an inshore boat, But we knew that we offshored it as best we can, and we raced it for quite some time, So we put it out. We had 5 years worth of data, which we knew the wind angles we needed, the wind speeds we needed, and we put it out to a few key designers for proposals, and they all came back. They were all excellent. There was definitely no standout, but Botin being the flavor of the month in that size boat, and the fact that Highland Fling had just been built, so the tooling was available, and we went to King Marine, and King Marine's a fantastic facility, and Stefan just loved the facility, so it was kind of everything pointed towards King Marine. So we pulled the trigger on an offshore boat and worked very closely with Adolfo from Botin. We had Mickey Costa project managing it for us, and myself, and then our crew were very heavily involved. We knew exactly what we wanted. So Botin did the lines. I say Botin, Adolfo, the company did the lines, and we pretty much did the deck and interior based on what we wanted. And the number one consideration for the boat was, it's an offshore boat. We want waterproofing.
And you mentioned that training you did on the 6th of January, just 3 days before the start of the race, and you very kindly sent us some video from a fixed camera on board, and oh my word, you get the power of what you're doing. Just run us through, Mark, in the early part of the video. I believe you've got 2 reefs in and a J4 upwind, about 35 degrees off the breeze. What sort of wind speed were you doing, and what was it like on board? You didn't look very pressed at 9 knots.
No, so being a new boat, we did our sea trials, and the most wind we got in that was like 20, 22 knots or something. And the forecast was for high 20s, low 30s, and we kind of looked at each other and said, well, it's an ocean race, we're an offshore boat, we need to know how this boat sails in these conditions. So we went out. So the 35 is probably a little bit, the sea state, the starboard tack was heinous, and the port tack, the seaway was a little bit better. So the 35 is probably not a true reflection of what the boat does upwind, because we had a favorable seaway. But no, I wouldn't say we were impressed. It was blowing 30 knots, so we had a bit on. But it was. We'd be very happy sailing like that for a long time, So
yeah.
It seems like, even though our boat's very similar to a 52 in size, it's more like a 72 in power and feeling, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
It's less dingy, more big boat, even though it's only 4 foot bigger.
Yeah. And later on in the clip you sent us, again your J4 2 reef, but this time off the breeze, about 110, 120. Heel angle looks good. You're doing like 19 knots. She looks really comfortable. Is that you in the slot for in the groove at 110, 120?
No, yeah, I think, as you know, the 110 is always a very difficult angle to sail, especially with one rudder. So we were just, Stefan he had it locked in, and he just did what was comfortable, and it worked out comfortably, and we certainly didn't feel like we needed more sail. We were happy. If we had a jib stick, we probably would have used it. I get penalised too heavily, so we don't bother anymore. And the boat felt great, and if we got to do some 30 knots reaching, we'd be quite happy with that sail configuration for sure.
Yeah. Looking through the crew, and as you say, just nine on the boat is your optimum. You've got a lot of fantastic sailors from the America's Cup and the Super Series, and also some highly experienced offshore guys. Is that the kind of blend that you're trying to do, Mark?
Yeah, for us, for me, because I choose the boys, obviously ability is high up on the list, but, ultimately we're in the entertainment business as well, so we don't need super pros. We need guys that have fun and ride bikes and get on with the owners and I think we have a fantastic crew. We've got a ton of offshore experience, which is what we need. We have a lot of Grand Prix cutting edge guys, which is also they do all the pimping of the boat. So yeah, I think quite frankly we have an awesome team. Having sailed the boat, we've had some pretty rough stuff. We can't quite wear socks down below, but we can almost wear socks down below all the time, which for a race boat is pretty impressive, So we chuffed. It's gone well.
What are your goals for Black Pearl for this race?
Well, the first goal is always to get to the finish safely, with all fingers and toes. Obviously, a nice result is always a good way to open the score sheet, but get to the finish safely, learn as much as we can from the boat, and have a good time, And if we happen to be on the chocolates, then so be it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Anything you want to add, Mark?
Well, firstly, most importantly, actually, a massive thank you to the RORC for making this race happen. I think you guys have done a fantastic job. The Marina has been fantastic. We definitely can't complain about them. We haven't had much dealings with them, which means they've been fantastic. Everything's just worked, and yes, they're docking the boat in 35 knots of wind. There were guys to meet to get our lines. It's just